Hello everybody and welcome to the Ozzimon Library. Of course, I am the librarian, and today's video I'm really excited about for a couple of reasons. First off, I love Ben 10, and I have tried to design Ben 10 aliens once in the past, but I thought I'd give it another go. Second reason is, all the things I've drawn here for this video, I actually drew live on TikTok. Tiger Entertainment Network is my TikTok account. You guys can find it really easy on TikTok, and I've been going live whilst drawing, and you guys can see myself and the artwork at the same time, and people have been diving in and getting stuck in and suggesting things and getting involved. It's been a lot of fun. The third reason is, I've never done this much work on a Ben 10 project before. I've made up my own character, 5 new aliens, and designed my own Omnitrix. Now, quickly, before we do dive in, just to warn you, I've never drawn an Omnitrix in my life, and I don't draw people, so the person himself is going to be a chibi. But I think I managed to get my point across. So, with that being said, let's dive into our brand new Ben 10 OC, who has his own version of Omnitrix, and his 5 aliens. Now let's start off with the Omnitrix itself, because it's not your standard Omnitrix, and it's definitely not the same type of universe. In this universe, the plumbers actually made peace with aliens many decades ago. We're talking years and years in the past, allowing aliens to live on Earth so much sooner than on Ben's universe, which means that the whole point of the Omnitrix kind of fell mute almost. So Azimuth decided to go and explore the unmarked territories, the territories of the galaxy that were not mapped out. Planets that didn't have any names, alien races never seen before. And that's when he found something terrifying. A whole galaxy filled with planets built by warrior-like alien races, and these alien races were ready to conquer the rest of the universe. They knew about the plumbers, and they knew about this galactic, colony of different factions and alien races that have been built, kind of like an alien council, if you will, and they were ready to take it on, head on. Very strong alien races indeed. So Azimuth's Omnitrix isn't actually a device to allow people to step into the shoes of other aliens. No, it was actually created to sample the alien DNA of these 5 major alien races. Now there will be more, but let me get down the video first before I explain that. So, with the Omnitrix built with these samples of DNA, he sends it to Earth in hopes to find, the plumbers. The hope is that once warned, the Omnitrix will turn you into one of the alien transformations, allowing the plumbers to, do scientific experiments on them, build weapons to fight them, kind of giving them like a blueprint almost on how to beat these aliens. However, the Omnitrix doesn't land in the hands of the plumbers. No, it lands with our new hero. So here is the design of the Omnitrix. It's all blue because I wanted to go with a different colour. I know Ben 23's blue, but he's also gold, and all of his aliens are just blue colour palette versions of Ben's aliens. I wanted to do something with blue, so I went with a darker blue and a sky blue. Ben's always technically the same colour green, so I thought why not mix it up. The Omnitrix has more of an expansion on the top section where the dial is than the actual wristband itself. We've got little wire circuitry too. And then this Omnitrix actually has a bit of a additional feature. When it bands onto someone and attaches to someone's wrist, a little symbol will burn into the person's palm, allowing them to access the DNA inside. This also brings up the issue of Ben has been able to turn into different aliens via other people touching the Omnitrix. Ben managed to convince Vilgax to turn into Goop to beat Vilgax, and stuff like this. So that's never going to be an issue here. So here's our brand new version of the Omnitrix. It's all blue, it's sleek, and of course we've got some circuitry, we've got more of a pointed sort of surface. I kept the dial the same because obviously it's the Omnitrix. With that new Omnitrix all created, let's dive into our main protagonist, our superhero of this universe, our main Omnitrix user, our original Omnitrix user. Our protagonist's name is Jackson Fiver. Now, of course, Ben 10 isn't called Ben 10, he's called Ben Tennyson. Jackson Fiver would be dubbed Jackson 5. Yes, I have made a pun out of the famous group Jackson 5. Because why the fuck not? Yeah, that's basically just a pun in the name. It also kind of goes with the whole idea of why he's only got 5 aliens. And I thought it'd be a nice little reference to something else, so why not? Jackson's a good kid. He's a massive gamer and a massive sci-fi nerd. He loves space movies and alien movies. He's always loved comic books, and gaining the Omnitrix combined 2 of his major loves, superhero comic books and aliens and sci-fi. So of course, Jackson was well into being a superhero, using his collection of alien transformations. He's a bit brass and doesn't really think smart at first. He'll definitely dive into a fight head on without considering any consequences, any other alternative pathways, or anything like that. But eventually he'll learn, especially when the war comes to his front door. Jackson 5, of course, will team up with the plumbers later down the line after 6 months of being a superhero and eventually tackle the alien races that his alien transformations come from. So this is Jackson 5. I quite like his design. I didn't want to stick with just all blue. I mean, technically speaking, original Ben 10 didn't have any green on him in the first place, so it makes sense. I went with a nice orange. I think orange and blue go really well together. You can see that little logo on his palm as well. I gave him big spiky anime hair, and yeah, just your average kind of like kid looking clothes. I'd say Jackson 5 is around about 14. We've had 10-year-old Ben, 11-year-old Ben, 15-year-old Ben, 16-year-old Ben, and I think 17, and then of course Ben 10,000's in his 30s. So we don't really have a 14-year-old superhero within the Ben 10 mythos. Ben 23 is estimated to be around 12 or 13, so yeah, I think 14's a nice little kind of a bridge between the ages that we see Ben as. Like I said, he's a good kid, he's just out of his league and wanting to be a superhero. So we have our Omnitrix and we have our Omnitrix user. Let's dive in to our first alien transformation. These are Colo Titans. They are brutes, absolutely massive monstrosities of an alien race. They're like 11 feet tall and can lift up to 270 tons, and with training they can go easily up to like 1,000 to 2,000 tons. They also have the ability to generate crystals from parts of their body, using their bone marrow and extending it out of their physical form. When it leaves their body, it hardens instantly, becoming crystals. These can be used to become knuckle dusters, sharp-pointed weapons, and they can also be fired like projectiles. These things smack a heavy punch. The design, I went with purple, because we have 4 arms who's red and Humongous who's brown, so I wanted to go with a completely different avenue and go down with the purple route. As you can see, the Omnitrix logo on his chest is also vastly different to what a normal Omnitrix logo has on, Ben's aliens. I kept those, like, diamond-pointed shapes that was on the Omnitrix, but made it a circle around, and I thought it kind of just makes it look a bit different and unique. These aliens would have massive diamonds coming off of their back, kind of like 3, 2 really long ones, medium ones, and small ones going down their back. You can see the big ones in the artwork. Their feet are almost like monkey feet. I think this alien would better like hang off certain like structures, maybe be good at climbing with his humongous fists. Colo Titans are an absolute monstrosity of warfare, and they do it all with mostly physical violence. Their projectiles are just a last resort. Jackson would dub his Colo Titan form Amethyst, a play on the crystal amethyst, which is a purple crystal, which has actually inspired me to make this alien in the first place. I've always adored amethysts, and I think they're really, really gorgeous crystals. So I broke down the name. Amer coming from amethyst, and fist meaning your knuckles. Amethyst. Now that's his first transformation, so let's dive into the second one. These are cogitaire, which apparently means to think in Latin. I could have that wrong though. These aliens are literally just floating heads that case themselves in brain mucus slime, which is just a little bit thicker than water. These floating heads are incredibly, incredibly smart. They see problems as calculations, and they get all defensive as well, because their brain mucus can be flung at enemies to immobilize them, but it can also stick to certain pieces of technology, and once it latches onto something and soaks into it, then it gives the cogitaires the ability to manipulate that piece of technology. But not just, like, manipulate it, but they can also make it do things it wouldn't normally be able to do. Think upgrade, basically. They can also, do this as an edge of battle, because one, they solve problems and because they're incredibly smart, but also it keeps them at long range purposes in physical counters when it comes to war. They deal with battle at a long range scope, and their smart is their biggest weapon. And the fact that they can manipulate 99% of technology gives them the capabilities of at most global warfare. And these things are incredibly dangerous, and you wouldn't want to run into one. The Cockatera alien race are also massive, bigger than Brainstorm easily. Not like gigantic like Humongousaur, but they'd easily scale to a human. Now, when it comes to Jackson's Cockatera form, he dubs it Thought Bubble, because of the idea of, the slime, the mucus and stuff, which can immobilize people and control technology, is almost like a thought bubble. Now let's jump into our third alien transformation for Jackson. These are bugs called Waspinators. These wasp-themed aliens build their own homes, creating whole planets, conquering galaxies as they do. These are warriors first, but they can also reproduce their own honey, which is grey and kind of gross looking. It is a substance that hardens incredibly quick. Most of these aliens will create armor-mounted weapons that meld with their skin at birth. But there's also something else that these wasp-like aliens can do with the honey, because it's built inside of their organs. They can expel it from the bottom of their bodies, which kind of almost look like a honeycomb when you look at them from the bottom. And their intense body temperature can ignite the honey and turn it into a gas that would propel them forward, giving these aliens incredible speed. They can already fly, so these things are doomed to be aerial attackers. Now, when it comes to the propulsion, it acts like sudden bursts, but can also, with some training, you can get to like jet level, sort of way a jet would work. These aliens can also shoot energy needles from their armor-like weapons. Jackson prefers these needle-like, kind of like spear things, lances almost, around his arms. Now, when it comes to Waspinators and Jackson's name, he gave it King Stinger. I absolutely adore this alien, and it was really fun drawing this live because a lot of people helped me out with the color palette. Anyway, let's dive into our fourth alien that we wanted to design here today, and that are Spectres. These aliens live on a planet that has no sun, only a moon. They live in pure darkness, and they are ghost-like aliens which have the ability to phase and turn invisible. So basically, intangibility and invisibility. They also have the ability to hypnotize other creatures who stare into its singular eye. If hypnotized, they see their worst fear manageable, whilst they also get to manipulate the victim's body, kind of like a game character. They get to play the person they hypnotize like they're playing a game, kind of like being a puppeteer. Only way to snap them out of the hypnotized state is with a flash of light. It has to be a decent flash of light as well, like a really strong torch, a flashbang, maybe car headlights or something, but it has to be a really strong flash of light to snap them out of it. Unless the Spectres can control you for as long as they want. These ghoul-like creatures, these phantoms, if you will, are absolutely terrifying. They wear the bones of, people they've defeated and stuff, and naturally over the years they're just kind of never seen without these bone-like structures, which can also phase with them, of course. Jackson would dub his Spectre form Possess a Wisp. The possess part is pretty obvious. You're basically possessing people without actually possessing people. The a wisp part is, of course, because he's a phantom or a ghost-like alien. So now let's dive into our last alien we have today. Now, when it comes to this particular alien, these things are quite large, and I call them Pyrolocities. These things are born on planets made of metal ore, and they can produce a massive amount of heat from their body, but it's also rather dangerous for them to leave their planet because of how hot they are. They can either do one or two things. First off, cool down rapidly quick, which would kill them because they have to be naturally that hot anyway, or they could burn other planets, which have come in handy in the past. So what they naturally do when they have offsprings is they mold the metal ore onto the baby's bodies, allowing them to kind of like fuse together, giving them armor, allowing themselves to protect themselves with inside of their bodies, kind of like NRG, allowing them to survive outside of their planet's atmospheres. Thanks to how hot they actually are and the weight of their metal, they can actually move incredibly fast. Heat rises, and so do their speed. Once they build up enough momentum though, this is where their heat and the armor kind of work together. See, the armor is incredibly durable, but it can become softer than what it normally is once the alien runs incredibly fast, allowing it to become almost like rubber almost. As soon as it stops running and they cool down, the armor hardens, and that's perfectly fine. But once they start running and the armor softens up a little bit, they become very, very durable, and they like to use the momentum and bounce everywhere. They literally just bounce off rubber surfaces like a rubber ball, becoming a force of momentum that's incredibly hot and can bounce everywhere. You will end up fighting an incredibly fast speeding bullet that's as hot as the sun. Also, I'd like to mention that everyone's armor, Paralocity's armor, is different patterns and different expel ports, because they all have little expel ports on their body that expel heat out of them. And for Jackson's version, is across their chest, the gauntlets, and the trousers. Shins. I don't know why I said trousers. And these are expel ports, but each one is crafted differently. Very similar to like a tiger's stripes or a cheetah's spots. So, of course, Jackson called his Paralocity's alien race form Heat Wave. For a couple of reasons. First off, because how hot it is, but because how fast it can run. It's like a wave, like a heat wave when it runs past you. It'll feel like a heat wave hitting you. Now, that is Jackson 5, his Omnitrix, and all 5 aliens. However, there is something very clever that I did with the alien transformations. I actually fused 2 alien abilities into one for all 5 transformations. So let's go through them real quick. For Amethyst, I used the strength of Forearms and the diamond manipulation of Diamond Head. Sure, I didn't use exactly the same. Amethyst isn't as strong as Forearms and he can't manipulate crystals like Diamond Head, but I took the idea itself and combined them. For Thought Bubble, it's Upgrade and Grey Matter, manipulating technology but also being goddamn smart. For King Stinger, it's Stinkfly and Jet Ray, being able to shoot energy needles, and of course being stupidly fast in the sky is Jet Ray's motif. But also he's a bug-like alien, and of course that is Stinkfly, which can also use his honey in different ways, kind of like, Stinkfly uses his goop. Then, of course, for Possessor Wisp, we have Ghost Freak and Toe Pick, combining the intangibility, ghost-like abilities of Ghost Freak, and of course, he can also, control people. And then you got the fear side of aspect, making people see things that Toe Pick can do. And then for Heatwave, it's Accelerate and Cannon Bolt, but I guess you could also throw in Heat Blast, kinda. Heatwave's race can't project heat or fire, they're just naturally hot alien races anyway. I was about to say animals then. So that's why I said Accelerate and Cannon Bolt, including the whole, Cannon Bolt's ability to bounce off everything, and then of course Accelerate's natural speed. So that was the whole goal of this video, is to see what I could do here. So yeah, that's Jackson 5, his Omnitrix, and his 5 alien transformations. Do let me know what you guys think, and of course, if you want me to do more of these, where I come up with a new Omnitrix, new characters, and new alien transformations, make up some new lore and stuff, do let me know, because I'm very happy to dive in. This video, of course, is going down the route of alien transformations that are all warriors, armies, and wanting to take out the rest of the galaxy. But there's so many things I could do and theme stuff off, so please, of course, let me know. Now, that being said, do hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell if you guys haven't already, and just a reminder, Tiger Entertainment Network is my TikTok account. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'll go live in the evening, British Standard Time, and I'll draw whatever I'm working on for the next video, so you guys can see it happen in real time, get involved, and get a sneak peek of what's happening in said videos. And with that being said, I do love you all, roar of passion everybody, and I shall see you guys in the next video.